Welcome back to another episode. My name is Nick Lamb. With me is
Emery Wolf.
And together we are just two camera guys. Took that from Top Jaw. Have you ever seen that YouTube channel?
No.
They travel
Is
the
it
world.
really?
Yeah. That's basically what they do. Because one of their guys is behind the camera and they film and their one guy's in front of the camera. And they say, then the guy always introduces it as, my name is Nick Lamb, and with me behind the camera is Emery Wolf, and together we are just two camera guys, but they say Top Jaw. It's actually what I stole that for Leroy and Leroy. Did you know that?
No. I just started doing it. We were talking about it, and it was just the thing to, it's like, yeah, this makes sense. Let's do that.
No, but then when I saw Top Jaw, I wanted to do that for Leroy and Leroy. Where
and I've been doing it all along, had no idea it was ripped off.
It's a great YouTube channel.
It brings up a good point though too, because people always ask me like what I do, and like that's like one of my answers is I'm a rip-off artist. That's it. Like nothing I do is original. I've just gotten good at, like, I shouldn't even say good. I've gotten mediocre at ripping other things off. I've paid enough attention.
So I sent you a link to a board game. Why I sent you the link to the board game was because it's a Kickstarter coming out, and the game is called Photo Tour.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you got to go back into like why you sent me a board game. Like you need to talk about your obsession.
Okay, so I love board games. I counted up my board. I'll send you a link because I logged all of our board games into Board Game Geek. So now I can send you a link that'll have every game that we have on there, and it's just under 200 or something silly like that. So basically what I wanted to do is I sent you the link to this game because I was curious if this would interest you as essentially a non-board gamer, but photographer. So in the game,
what it is, yeah.
In the game, you are essentially a photographer and you're traveling around North America taking pictures. But the cool part about the game is the art. So you'll get pictures and you'll get the card that shows the location, and they're essentially, all the famous locations around North America. So you'll have like Niagara Falls and Grand Canyon, and I didn't see the redwoods, but I'm assuming the giant redwoods are in there. And it's kind of got different photos on the map all over various states and stuff like that. So
photos is it photos or is it all paintings? Looks like it's all paintings.
In the game, the art is all paintings. So they didn't do, it's not like clip art kind of stuff. These are legit paintings, basically. But
I think the idea is that you are a photographer doing this tour.
Yeah, and you're taking these photos, and so they're representing photos, which I think is good. To me, I don't think the game would have looked as good if they would have taken real life photos, because it would have made it feel a little bit cheesy, I think.
See, what I never got from it was like, how does it play? What does it seem like to play this game?
From my understanding of the game is they purposely made it fairly entry level, so you don't have to be a big board gamer to play it. But what you do in the game, it's almost the perfect game. Like that, if I was going to make a game, it seems like a similar idea where you have your mode of transport and so you've got a little thing that's kind of driving around various places on the board, and you can take turns to upgrade your camera so you can get better cameras in the game. Wouldn't that be like, isn't that a great game?
It's funny. I think it's funny how like real it seems.
Yeah. I wish it was a little more real. I think if we were making a game, we would maybe go a little bit further into it, where you have to set your shutter at angle, and you'd have to pick your lens that you were putting on there. And you'd have to get all the sequences dialed in to take the picture, maybe a tripod and stuff like that. But in the game, you can upgrade your camera and take a better picture with it. So, and it lays out the different photos that you can take on it. So there's like 4 or 5 different photos, and then you have to drive to where that location is and then take the photo. I guess it doesn't really make sense when you think about it, but just a fun game of taking pictures, really.
you think this appeals? I know you kind of said this already, but do you think it appeals more to photographers or more to people who want to be or are, hobbyists or whatever?
This is, who I actually think it would appeal to the most is travel people, more people that like to travel. So for photographers, if you were making a game for photographers, you would almost want it to be your board game, or your little thing in front of you would be a camera, and you would be getting different lenses and building up your camera kit collection. Would seem a little bit more appealing to photographers. But this game, now that I'm thinking about it, its market would be travel people, which maybe it's misnamed then. I don't know.
I think the premise is still there. Like I do think like people who travel, even if they're taking photos on their iPhone or something, I do sort of think that's where it would be. Like I can't see like a professional actually sitting down and playing this and thinking it's like that much fun. But like, actually even someone too, like my mom who doesn't go around and see all these things, maybe something like this could be fun for a person like that who dreams of traveling around all over the place.
Yeah. The interesting part that I found there was they've already raised $100,000 on Kickstarter. So
yeah,
there's a market for something that looks good. And because we don't really know how it plays, like there's how to play videos out there where they're sending a copy out to people. That's what we need to get onto. That's really the big missed opportunity by us, not getting a free copy of this game.
That's kind of true. Maybe we should, I was going to say maybe we should email them, but did you already buy it?
I haven't bought it, no. And so this is the problem essentially with Kickstarter in Canada, is to get anything shipped here, it just costs too much. Just wait till it comes out and buy it then.
Yeah. Continuing this thought of the photo tour and gaming and stuff, I actually want you to talk a little bit about this weekend, what you're doing, and how to go. Like this is when I asked you before about your gaming obsession. This was where
this is what you were wanting me to talk about. So I missed 2 of the hockey games this weekend because my wife and I were we're not working, essentially volunteering. We paid to get in to volunteer. It's funny how that works.
That's worse than volunteering. You paid to volunteer.
Yeah, paid to volunteer. Whatever, the money's going to charity, so that's good. So there's this charity gaming weekend in Moose Jaw here where they've got board games, they've got D&D, they've got console games, and it's at the May Wilson. Do you know the May Wilson? It's the live music / theater venue here. And so they basically take up the lobby and all the different kind of offshoot, just multiple levels. Anyways, it's a big space. So there was we brought not all of, as many board games as I could fit into the car. So like maybe 100 board games or something like that. And had them set up. And then people that came to the gaming weekend we went and we color coded all these games. So we had green stickers for easy, and then it was like intermediate blue, getting
like a ski hill.
Yeah, basically we had it like a ski hill, and then red were as expert. So we didn't recommend you play the expert unless you really had played games and stuff before. But yeah, I felt kind of like a party host. You know how when you have a party and your job is kind of making sure everybody's having a good time?
Yeah, I don't like people, so no. I don't invite people over.
Okay. If you were a normal person, then add people over every once in a while. Anyways, that's more what I felt like was a bit of a party facilitator in a way, just kind of going through.
Did it go well?
Yeah, it went great. It went really, really good.
Did anybody play the pro games?
Yeah. I played some with some people, some of the more difficult games.
Did you win or lose?
I lost. There was this one guy there who Have you heard of? Of course, you haven't heard of it, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Have you heard of the Settlers of Catan championships?
Well, I've heard of Settlers of Catan.
So every year they have the Settlers of Catan, uh, essentially world championships, where they'll do local games. The local games go to the national qualifiers or to the national tournament, and then the national tournament sends, like, each country essentially sends their representative to the Catan World Championship. And this one guy at the board game thing in Moose Jaw here, he went to the national championship for Catan. I don't know, last year or the year before or something like that, and got second place there. So my big joke about the weekend was, because he was really good at all these games, was like second place is first place when Matthew's playing, because he was winning all the games.
Nice.
But yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. I think we should probably touch on a bit of news here with you and your life. It's happened.
Sure. What do you want me to say?
So you've been involved in Chasing Yesterday, which is, for us Saskatchewan people, quite a successful Facebook page. One of the more successful ones in Saskatchewan, I would say, and a photo page at that. So, yeah, I was kind of shocked. You told me that you weren't with them anymore.
Yeah. Decided to shut it down on the page itself. Kind of almost a similar story to yours when you quit Leroy and Leroy. Just sort of ended up becoming a thing that, to be fair too, like, it wasn't really my thing that much anymore either. Susan sort of had taken over everything. I think it was kind of just time for her to take it over and let it run the way she can. And, I know I've talked to you about this too, but like, I hope she can, she has all the world's success with it, and that it keeps growing. So.
Yeah. It's weird how that stuff works out, and it's so cool that you get a chance to do that. But at a certain point, a combination of life and time and the fact that you've been doing it for 5 or 6 years, it's just maybe time to move on to something else.
Yeah, like, and for myself too, like, I kind of want to, I talked about Susan running that for myself. It's, kind of maybe the time for me to try and do more for myself and sell my own things. So, like, I've been doing Black Ice Media all that time as well. But, like, I had a stark realization this year when I'm making up calendars and going, literally my last post was a post trying to sell calendars again. So I hadn't posted anything in a full year. And I was like, wow, I'm not doing anything for myself here either. This isn't, I don't know, it's just not what I wanted out of it. I'd always started this photo thing for myself. So sort of getting back to that, I guess, a bit too.
Yeah. No, cool.
And doing this too, I think just two camera guys is fun as well, because really we're not getting paid. We're just doing this because we like it. And that's sort of where I want to be with things too, right?
Yeah. Well, and my little idea that I had with just two camera guys, I think, so I thought about it, and I think it's maybe the dueling vlogs idea with just two camera guys, released on just two camera guys, might be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think we can figure something like that too. I had another idea I wanted to run by you about this, though, maybe something to take off on.
Yeah.
It originated with like a URL, a website, and it was badbooks.com.
Yeah.
Except for that's already taken, and whoever has it wants it like 30 grand for it. So we have to change it to something else. But essentially, when we're working the Pats games, we have these facts that come up.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're out there on the cameras, we can't really see them. So Nick reads them to us. Nick is I actually like your voice. I like listening to it. However, you cannot pronounce names
Pronunciations are not the best.
or anything remotely close to complicated, and it's always funny. It always makes me laugh. Meanwhile, I've been listening to audiobooks a lot this year. I started listening to them this year, I should say. And it got me thinking, like I started listening to this sort of kids fantasy novel book thing. And I was just like, man, this is just dragging on. And this is supposed to be like one of the best ones. And like, this sucks. Like, why doesn't some narrator just like flat out tell the truth about this thing in the middle of his commentary? And it'd be funny. Then it started snowballing into this, like, the idea with, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name from last week, but when he was yelling at his wife in the back, but just like, Sharon, I'm doing an audio book, you know, and like leaving that part in, and then your bad pronunciations. I'm like, why is there not an audiobook version of this for people where it's just being real? So badbooks.com, that was my idea with it.
Oh, that's good.
I thought it'd be pretty funny, pretty fun to do. Create an app. Even, do you know what? I feel like people would even pay for, like, do like a $2 a book or something, and people would shell out just to hear whatever stupid thing happens.
So, you know how I'd been bragging up that one video about the Hobbit hole forever? And then I released it in a very, very lackluster response from you and everybody else. But, so you gave me a good idea with it. Remember when you were watching it and you said, well, maybe this could be like maybe a DIY kind of thing or something like that. Do you remember saying that?
Yeah, like it had some DIY vibes to it.
So I made a short out of it. And I essentially cut out all of the jokes. And...
okay.
And didn't even travel to New Zealand to learn how to make it. In the short was essentially just going, my front yard was this, it needed a hobbit hole, made a hobbit hole, this is how I did it, this is what it looks like, and it was 30 seconds long. And you want to hear some stats just to compare your idea versus mine? But now I don't know if this is necessarily your idea versus mine. This is something I want to get into later. I want to get into the long form video versus shorts. But my long form video, this hobbit hole, if you're going just off of views, had about 75, 80 views, something like that. And the short got just under 2,000 views. And I essentially have no followers on my site. So that's just raw numbers straight from YouTube.
Nice. I want to get back to this, but I also just something else that was crossing my mind. There's been a lot of YouTubers quit lately. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I've seen it. Like
Maddie Hapoya, some of the other like big science ones, they're like all quitting. Marquise Brownlee did a good video on it about why they're quitting and what he is doing to avoid that himself, and he sort of gets that. But
I did watch that video. That was really good.
Yeah. And I know me and you've talked about it at length about like, how can these guys sustain this? It's too much, yada, yada, yada. And then we both have our big sort of social media things, and we both quit them too. And I think it does fall into those same lines as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so check it out. Marquise Brownlee, always good. So like I said, if you go through his videos, you'll find it and have a watch of it. Sorry, going back to short videos. Do you just want to jump into that?
Well, yeah, I do want to talk about the Marquise Brownlee thing a little bit to hit some of the points that he'd essentially said. I didn't take notes on it. But the one thing that really stands out to me about him is he's not doing it himself. He's treating it like a job is what I essentially took from that video. It appears as though he's doing it 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and has a team taking care of his accounting, a lot of his production work, his editing, so that he does not get burnt out because he's not putting in 100 hours a week, 120 hours a week, staying up till 3 a.m. editing a video. And for him, it's a regular job almost at this point, was what I took away from the video.
Yep, 100%. And that's how he's keeping himself from like burning out, right?
Yeah.
One of the many ways. I actually brought it up here too, so people can sort of look at, well, Marky's talking, but anyways, it is a good video. It is worth a watch. And, you know, honestly too, even to like people thinking about getting into this is worth watching, because I think at some point in time you will hit this and you'll realize everything he's saying.
Yeah. It's so true, because it does seem like the greatest job, but at the same time, it is a job and needs to be treated like a job at a certain point, where you're not just running off of kind of that emotion of doing it.
Yeah. And to get there, you need 18.3 million subscribers like Marquis has.
No, I don't think you need that. I think that his advice would apply to somebody that has 200,000 subscribers, that has 50,000 subscribers. As long as you
find some way to drive the financial end in order for you to afford those things, that gives you that time.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't think you would even need all that he has in there. It would just be a matter of almost optimizing your time, using it very wisely, and not confusing just doing something as doing something productive.
Yeah. Which actually brings up another point he makes, is about like being willing to say no to things, which is like what I have a problem. That's why I work 14 hours on Saturday, right? So anyways, let's talk about the shorts versus long thing. Just, you were leading into that there with your video stuff on the Hobbit hole. Is it a short on YouTube?
It's a short, yeah. So it was kind of disheartening in a way, because it made me think, is there any hope for the long form anymore? Or is it all just shorts at this point?
Do you remember what I said, or what I always typically say in scenarios like this, where it's that 90% versus 10%? Sure, the shorts are going to get 90% of the views, but it's also 30 seconds. What's that really get you in the end? I don't know. I guess a bunch of subscribers. It might get you some money. But I think in the long run, if you spend your time on some of the longs as well, I think that's going to give you more credibility. It's going to improve your craft. It's going to, all the things that working on that final 10% to really improve and be the best at what you do is going to gain from. You're not going to gain it from shorts.
So I watched the video the night before, and essentially the title of this video was, I could make any topic go viral. And it was an interview show similar to ours, and the guy was interviewing this 18-year-old girl who was making shorts, and she'd essentially said she could make any video, any topic go viral, and got into, and what she was doing was brilliant. She'd essentially taken every Mr. Beast short and ran it through a transcript generator, and generated the transcripts from all of Mr. Beast's video, and then would go through videos like, oh, this is a viral video, transcript. This is a viral video, transcript, viral transcript. Compiled all of these transcripts, and then ran Mr. Beast's videos through, it was like a Grammarly type thing to figure out the readability score from all of these videos. And she'd essentially figured out that Mr. Beast's videos his shorts are reading at a grade 1 level. And the typical viral video is reading at a grade 5 level. And there's really little evidence to show that anything more complex can go viral. So her theory was make it really simple, make it easy to understand, cut out any of the nonsense. And beyond that, obviously you have to make it interesting. You have to do all these other things. But it inspired me to go, you know what? I'm going to turn this into a short. And I did. And I don't think you can avoid it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going away. And realistically, I think if you are a creator, you need to be doing both. And that's what I'm saying. Because it's viral doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, that's true. That's a quote of the day.
Yeah, and that's what I want people to get away from. And that's why the long form is where you're going to actually really learn things, because you're not going to cater to that lowest common denominator. And you're probably going to do things in long form that you don't do just to get views, right? And views, and unless views are everything for you, whatever, don't ever do a long thing ever. But at some point in time, that's going to wear on you, and it's going to wear out.
So do you watch shorts?
Not really.
No.
Do you know what? That's another thing I've noticed with shorts. Have you ever watched people watching shorts?
No.
They're drones. They're complete drones. I don't think they soak anything. They just sit there with their gadget in front of you. That's it. Just doing this. And no react. Someone will make a joke. They don't even laugh. They're just like, next one, next one, next one. That's it. It's kind of gross. It's like a gross human thing to me. That's how much I loathe shorts.
Yeah. Is that just an old man thing that you're doing right now? Or is that because
No, I don't. Honestly, I think it's not good for humanity. It's not we don't need drones. We don't need people stuffing their emotions to the floor because they can't handle things so that they can just scroll through endless whatever. This would be where, my, what's his name? Cal, the guy that wrote Digital Minimalism, Get Rid of Your Email. That's where my approach with him is yeah, I agree with this guy and I think he's onto something. And I think we do need to lead more into that way.
You know what would be so funny?
But
I'm going to make that into a short.
Yeah. On the flip side of that too, I'm not going to, I watch enough stuff. I see enough stuff. I'm not going to judge people on it. I don't think it's an every person thing. I don't think it's I'm not going to clump things together, but as a whole, I don't think it's as good.
You're going to see a short. You're going to see the short is, have you ever seen people watching shorts?
You need a more blank stare on your face. Just like you have no emotions. You're a zombie. You're half dead. That's how it is. It's weird. No, I don't get it.
It'll be funny when you see yourself in a short that you had no idea was short.
Yeah. Do you know what's even worse than a short though? For me, those videos on Facebook where it's like, oh my God, just wait until I do this thing. And it takes 10 minutes. I got no time for that. That annoys me more than anything. I'm just no, enough of this. Just either give me the point, give me the short, or don't give me anything. This is useless. And that, my friend, is why we don't need 8 billion people making shorts.
Fair enough. Anyways, it was supposed to be an inspiring thing that made me think that I should start making some stuff, but you somehow managed to turn it into a depressing thing.
No, I think like I said, if you really want to do this creator thing, myself included, part of it is sort of going for that viralness of things. And I should be making shorts so that, maybe the things that are more worth it to people can get noticed by more eyes. What's the next thing you want to go over? I think we kind of beat that to death.
Are we too long right now? Do you want to save some of these topics for later, or maybe do a lightning round?
We probably are, but let's try a lightning round.
Let's try a lightning round.
Do you want to deal with?
Okay, let's try
There's
this.
only two more things to deal with anyways.
Yeah. So lightning round. This is almost from an enjoyment standpoint. Do you enjoy shooting live events or your typical promo video shoot? By typical promo video shoot, I mean uh, it could be an advertisement where you're making a little advertisement for a business, or corporate shoot, little like safety video, training video, that kind of stuff. Um, which one do you get more enjoyment out of? And I don't think you can separate the fact that with these live shoots, you don't have to edit. That's the hardest part to take out of this.
Yeah, actually, like that's the funny part. Like that's what makes the commercial stuff less enjoyable is all the pre and post. The shoots are usually fine. They're usually fun the day of.
Very fun.
But all the work to get everybody on board and everything before, that's just like some days it's bad. And then other days it can be good. And then typically I actually find them easier to edit because you've done all the work
yes.
to begin with. So then it's just sort of like chopping things together.
But you know what's interesting to get everybody on board part, there's a certain element of that with the live shoots in my role that I find is there's a lot more people, not management, maybe management's the right word, management and finessing and getting everybody on board that's part of the director role. And it's just different. It's different than just operating camera.
Yeah. So like overall, I think shooting a live event is more quote unquote fun.
Yes.
But I think if it's just strictly the shoot days themselves, generally the commercial things are more fun on the shoot day because you're doing some like crazier things. You're taking the time to make things as pretty as possible. And I don't know. I find that like sort of tedious work into how something looks
now,
like really fun.
Here's the second part of it. Which one would you find more fulfilling? Because fun is one thing, but there's a certain element and almost sense of pride that when a project is done, kind of looking back on it after.
That is a great question. I say it all the time, but like if there is one thing I could do out of all the things I'm doing, if I just worked hockey games, like I would be happy and just shooting hockey games. I love being at the rink. I'm at a rink almost every day, and I just like to be there.
Now you could. The only problem with you just shooting hockey games is it would involve a lot of flights because you would be flying all over and staying out of hotel rooms and living on the road.
Yeah, that's the part that doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
How about for yourself? Like, what would be fulfilling for you?
So this is interesting because there was a time, probably 4 or 5 years ago, we chatted about it briefly, where I was considering going for the camera operator on the road, maybe kind of similar to what Bryce does, but even more so, where it would be more getting on with the crew and traveling to shoot hockey games all winter long. But same thing as you, the hotels, the road, the away from home, not super appealing. But as far as the live productions go, the thing I like about it the most is the amount of people that are there. I find that fun. So it's fun to hang out in the room after you're done. So there's a certain sense of fulfillment that you get that's more, I find, than you do on the other shoots because of the people side of things. But as far as the client side of things goes, I do like the regular corporate shoot because we don't really see the client side of things on ours. Like we don't really see whether they're pumped or excited, but it's fun to see how pumped the client can be when you wrap up a shoot and they've got something that they're super proud of. That I find, so there's different types of fulfillment with it. But yeah, I think if it's just off of fun, it's hard to beat a 4 or 5 hour live shoot for a hockey game, because that's a lot of fun.
I'd asked you if you set like financial goals every year. So now I'm asking you that
Yeah.
here.
So I have in the past, I've set financial goals for every year. That was when I was on the acquiring side with real estate. So now, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I didn't set a goal this year for financial goals. My kind of reasoning for that is because budgeting has essentially changed my life. The goal's already been set and very clearly defined, and there's no new big goal that's out there for me that I'm chasing at the moment. It's more just staying committed to the plan and the process, and the results just speak for themselves. Like, so hard to argue with the budgeting format of life.
Yeah. Do you set like savings goals, like how much you want to save each year in each, for lack of a better term, pocket?
So that has already been predefined in the budget, like how much we're going to save. And so it's just a percentage of our income that gets saved. And the rest gets, there's predetermined savings, there's predetermined giving, and then it's just a matter of figuring out the rest to pay all the bills. Sounds boring, but it's
Two
it's a
questions
lot
on that.
less stressful than living life the other way, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Is all your savings automated?
No, it's not. So our TFSA is automated, but the other savings depends on different. A lot of it depends on how my work goes, because mine's essentially freelance / small business ownership.
Okay. When you say savings too, you're talking about strictly like TFSA, RRSP type savings, or is it like savings for, we need a new car in 5 years?
Oh, so that's yes and yes. This is how big of a nerd I am with this stuff. I've got in the budget like different funds. So I don't have a separate banking account set up for it, but I've got a car fund set up and a car maintenance fund and a house repair fund and all of these various kind of savings funds. It's the spreadsheet way of living of less than you make. I started budgeting in late 2019. And then because it was so life-changing, I couldn't shut up about it. And I was telling everybody I knew about it. And so I kid you not, Emery, I've probably told close to 100 people that they need to start budgeting. Do you know how many people have actually listened? I think it's just you. I literally think it's just you.
That's funny. Mostly because the only reason I remember getting in a talk with Jordan Blogget about this, and both of us told him, I think I was the first one, and like, you need to budget, like get like Mint or something on your phone and start doing it. And I'm like, Jordan, this is a guy who does not budget to do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I do it. I use this app. And I think it was like the summer after that when my daughter going to school, wasn't sure she was going to get into that med or not. And so when she finally did, she was going to get all these student loans and money became like a problem. And I jumped on basically to try to encourage her to do it as well. And then like, I think it was probably like 2 weeks in, I'm like calling you up like, hey, Nick, how do you deal with this situation? Like, I got it going on in mine here. I think this is what I would do. But
yeah.
And then we would sort of talk it out. But like, I was pretty addicted to it pretty quick.
Well, you know what's funny? When you were calling me up, how early on I was in it, you're like more advanced in it than I was then. Like
All you
now.
need is someone to do it with you, right? Like, I think that's actually like part of the thing. If you have someone like encouraging you along the way, I think you'll it's something you can keep up with, and it's something you will find easier, and you'll find your own way with it too. I think that's the other thing too. Like, there are some things that you and I do drastically different in the budgets.
Yes. Well, you actually, I think, take it a step further than me to a certain degree, because you need every penny to line up always in the fun. You're very, very detail oriented with it. I would say even more so than I am.
I like to think it just makes it easier on my dumb mind.
So there's a select group of people, and it's very select, that can handle without the budget. Like, very, who can run all of the math in their head and figure it all out. I just can't. And
Yeah.
If somebody is saying like, well, I just go by whatever's in the bank account, it's just a stressful way of living versus a non-stressful way of living.
And too, like, everybody I've seen like go into it, and like I tell everybody too, and I've had talks with other people. I don't think anyone's really kept up with it yet. There might be one, but they struggle with that. Like, oh, this is how much I actually spend on this. And they have that moment where it's like, that's a bit crazy, and then they're like, you know what? I could dial that in a bit.
Well, this is the argument I've used to no avail with that. Is, okay, so you could either decide where all of your money is going to go, or just have it randomly happen to you. So if it's, maybe you're spending more on groceries than you realize, great. So now you're spending $1,500 a month on groceries. Who cares? That goes in the budget. Now you know what you're working with the rest of your money, because you were going to spend $1,500 on groceries whether you budgeted or not.
Yep. That's actually, now you know, was the term I use. Like, now you know. At least you know now. And to me, it's all about, like, I don't want to say power and control, but that's kind of what it is. It's about being in control of it and living a life of, instead of being like, oh no, I got this payment coming. You're actually planning for it, and you're in control of it. The other thing I really want to point out, and this is what, like, I think people have a hard time wrapping their head around, it's your budget. You can do what you want because it's about your control. I have a specific line in my budget for Slurpees and tequila. Okay? Like, you can do what you want with that budget. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And to me, it was just getting yourself to savings, because I just lived so many years without saving anything. Just like nothing, just going by what the bank account said. And it's just a matter of creeping that. It's not even getting your spending under control. It's just figuring out a way to save is all it is for me, really.
And the comfort that brings too, again, just speaking of control, to have your car get smashed into at a parking lot, or you run into a fox, and to just know, like, yeah, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I can go out and buy a new car, or newish, used, but a new car. And it really, all it affected to me was me complaining that I didn't have money to put in my TFSA this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn okay. And all of that was done within 2.5 years, 3 years.
Yeah, you went from, that would have been catastrophic, to, whatever. Now I got a new car.
Yeah, exactly. So, budget.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Should we wrap it up?
We should have wrapped it up probably 45 minutes ago.
Are you going to give us some words of inspiration and wisdom to end this? I know I've been on a good stream of just rambling on about having a good day. Are you going to give us one of those?
You know what? I am going to do my best to give some actual advice and inspiration because, and it's going to go back to the budget because it's so easy to worry about money and it's so easy to feel overwhelmed with it. But writing it out, even if it's on a piece of paper or an app, and just going, I've got this much money coming in. Here's where all of it's going out. It's easy to find out. You go through your bank statements. It just reduces the stress in your life. It's shocking.
So wherever you're listening to us, get on your budget and do it.
And it'll help you buy more camera gear.
Yeah, exactly. Dave Ramsey should sponsor us, but we both use every dollar. Do it.
We do.
All right. Thanks for watching.
All right. Have a good night.